Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our last final session of the Festival of Enterprise COVID-19 webinar series at the end of the first week. We have an extra informative session planned for our last session of the day, and it's particularly well attended. Presenting today will be Gary Lennon, the Business Development Director from Biz Britain, who will be taking us through information about getting ready for CBILS. So I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of what Gary will be talking about, but we are obviously in the early days of a government financial initiative to support British businesses, and the CBILS, which is the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme, has been put in place to assist businesses access finance through partially funded loans and other types of finance. So Gary will be sharing the background, how to apply, and how to prepare, how to maximize a faster response in the application process. So Gary, thank you very much for taking the time to join us this afternoon. I know everyone appreciates it. Looks like we have quite a few questions already, and we'll get to those at the end, everyone. So what I'm going to do is hand it over to Gary, let him introduce himself, and then Gary will be taking us through a presentation. And then after that, we will move on to answering the questions that everyone's posing. So without further ado, Gary, please, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name's Gary Lennon. I'm a Business Development Director for Biz Britain, and we're a credit broker. My background is coming into finance is that I didn't come from a traditional route. So I'm going to be talking today as a business owner, try not to do too much finance speak, and hopefully explain things in plain English, so at least we can cover the ground in a much more logical way. So as David's already mentioned, my intention today is to cover the basics. So what is CBILS? What's the core CBILS messages? To explain some of the detail. So what does a viable business mean? Are you eligible? How to prepare, including information documents, and explaining what the current impact is on your business, how to apply, and then answer some questions. So let's go.
Excellent.
So in terms of what is CBILS, I'm sure you can read the screen, so I don't intend to read straight off the screen, but I will explain a few things. This may be the first time you've come across the British Business Bank. So the British Business Bank is a government development bank that's there to provide access to funds where they don't currently exist, or to put in place certain products and services to overcome situations like the current one. So CBILS is available to the 40 plus accredited lenders and partners on their website, and these lenders and partners are already in place servicing another scheme called the Enterprise Finance Guarantee. So most important point that I'd like to make with regards to this information is that not every lender provides every type of finance that's listed. So the danger sometimes is to contact every single lender to see if they can all do what you're looking for, and then you find out not all of them do. So in terms of core CBILS messages, I think I've underlined in here the word potentially. So I'm sure some of you have already tried to apply, and some of you are about to apply. And what you're looking for is you're looking for a yes answer, and I fully understand that. So should everybody obviously looking to obtain that. At the same time, these are loans, so that not every single time will a loan be paid out. So just to be clear about that is that it's important that everybody understands that there is a process to go through. There are checks to be taken, decisions to be made, which is there to help you, because if your business
We seem to have lost Gary there, unfortunately. Sorry about this, everyone. I think the internet connection has has just faltered slightly. Just bear with us, everyone. We'll just get this sorted out. Just hold a second. I think Gary's back now. There he is. All right.
Sorry, guys.
Minor difficulty there. So we're back in business. So, Gary, if you could just share the presentation with us again.
Can you hear me now?
Absolutely. I can hear you and see you. Everything is working well.
Okay, I'll start again on this slide.
Sorry, we can't see. You need to share it, please, with us.
Yeah. Okay, just bear with me.
There we are. Excellent. Sorry about that, everyone. We are back in business.
So, sorry, guys. I didn't go too far, thankfully. So, just to go, I'll reintroduce this particular slide. So, important message is that this is about potentially getting a yes from a lender rather than a no. However, it's not a guarantee that you will get a yes. And it's really important that we understand that lenders do need to go through a process of evaluation, make responsible lending decisions, and ensure your business can sustain a loan or other type of finance that's been offered from the basis of from here onwards. As it says, all sectors, all SMEs from all sectors can apply, all small business owners can apply. The borrower is responsible. The guarantee is from the British Business Bank to the lender, not the business. That's really important to note. And the most important thing is to understand is the business must have been viable prior to the outbreak of coronavirus. You can read the next part of the statement, but it's really important that people appreciate that, because this is there to help the businesses that were going okay anyway. If your business was already in significant difficulty at the time and you couldn't afford a loan, it will be difficult to obtain that finance too. So the final point, the government is there to reduce the impact. So by making payments of the first 12 months of interest payments and any fees, it will soften the blow. And I do know that there are options in the future, near future, we understand, where there may be some more flexibility on the first payments too, but that isn't guaranteed yet. So you just have to bear with us until we find that out. So if I can just ask you to pay attention to the right-hand side of the screen, I think the important things here are, excuse me, is initially what lenders are looking for is proof of performance. So what they need to understand is your business able to show through its information, such as its financials, its contracts, its statements, that if a loan was to be offered, that then you'll be able to repay it. Now, I have seen some questions already where past experiences are showing that there are some losses or balance sheet isn't positive. In some circumstances with certain lenders, that may be a little bit more difficult, but there are some lenders too that will also take into account other losses through exceptional losses because you've done investments, etc. And as long as these are taken into account, the profit figures can be adjusted to mitigate this. But what's really important to note is it's okay to be exceptional, but it should not be every year. If you looked in the past 2 to 3 years of your accounts, it shouldn't not keep showing losses, otherwise the business doesn't look like it could sustain a loan. So, excuse me. And then the business proposal itself, along with forecasts, must be able to show that the business is going to come back to a, if you like, normal position. And I'll continue to illustrate what this means. So in terms of eligibility, it's pretty much what it says on the screen. So there's not too much more to explain than that, apart from you can see these sort of things on the British Business Bank website, and also you'll understand whether or not you are within those parameters. So getting prepared. This will make the difference between whether you get a response, a valuable response, or a very fast no response. And it's really important to explain this because the lenders are getting massive amount of applications right now, and they're getting prepared for these, and they're working and proportioning their operations to make sure they can handle these inquiries, even though time is right now it's quite difficult because lots of information is showing that it's taken hours to get responses on the telephone, etc. However, if you can do your preparation in advance, what this will mean is that you will get a much more considered response. So not everything matters to all the lenders, but some of the things are very important. If you haven't got the last 2 years accounts, for example, you're less than 2 years old, 1 year's accounts will be sufficient. But if you've got the year's accounts up to date, also bring up to date your management information. So if it's more than 2 months old, it's quite important that you make sure that your management information. So that's telling you what you're doing on a day-to-day basis for the last number of months since the last accounts were completed. So in terms of debtors and creditors, those are the people that owe you money and the people that you owe money to. And so we can understand whether or not there's more money in the business than is currently seen in the bank account or the accounts. So as you go further down, you can see different things. It is important to note that there will be credit checks done, and individual credit checks will be done on each person within the business who is making the application, and that has some influence on there. Some lenders are a little bit more accepting of blemished credit reports, and they tend to be the CDFI types. These are the ones that are responsible finance providers and more likely to be local rather than national. Towards the bottom, you can see an explanation is required, along with a business proposal, of how the coronavirus has impacted on the business, with some evidence of loss of orders or contracts, or if in your circumstances your business has been directed to close, obviously that would determine a loss of income especially. The last one is just a copy all sort of option. You don't always need to have a copy of a void check. It's just to be aware that that can sometimes be asked. So I'll put the links in the slide just in case you hadn't already got them, and when the slides are shown later or shared later, you'd have these links for yourselves. But in terms of applying for a loan, the best place to start is to go to the British Business Bank, have a look at the questions they've got in their frequently asked questions to make sure you've got the answers ready in advance. It's a good idea to approach your existing loan provider. If you haven't got an existing loan provider, you may wish to approach your bank. And if not your bank, then consider approaching a local provider. So you can speak to somebody at the lender, you can speak to a broker. It's important that somebody, if you speak to a broker, that they have worked alongside these types of schemes before. So I mentioned earlier the Enterprise Finance Guarantee Scheme. There are some little bits of information which are quite important to those, and people with those experiences will be able to walk you through them, which is really important because you need to know them before you get started. If you can get your information prepared and ready, and if you haven't already talked to your accountant, then it's probably a good idea to do that too. If you don't do your own accounts, then to make sure you've got information ready so that when you talk to the lender or the broker, they will be able to help you very quickly to understand whether you do comply with most of the information that's required, and then they can look at the initial assessment to say whether or not that you should be able to progress.